What's your reaction to that?
I think Rob wanted him to be head of OPM. I think those two are peas in a pod. You know, I think his doom and gloom tour was a little discouraging, I thought, Bob's. I think you saw the differences loud and clear between us and what we're trying to do. I can't believe he called a slush fund, paying down the pension debt, a slush fund. I can't believe a surplus we haven't even earned yet. He wants to spend it away right now. Former CFO, that's shocking. Do I find those to be highly irresponsible? You can't do that.
Governor, on the gun bill, you criticized Mr. Stefanowski for that NRA A rating, and you also criticized him for not addressing the role of the AR-15s in the Fiscal Solutions. Would you close that circle? What is it that you would do regarding the AR-15s that are grandfathered?
I think those assault-style weapons that are grandfathered should not be grandfathered. They should not be allowed in the state of Connecticut. I think they're killers. We found out they're cop killers. I think they're incredibly dangerous in our community. You're not serious about crime if you leave them on the street. How's that?
So, I mean, just to be clear, you're talking about weapons that people were legally allowed to possess?
80 rounds in a minute, Paul. That's like a machine gun.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
He wouldn't touch it. He refused to touch that issue.
I think it's enough just to enforce the gun laws that we already have.
And that leaves things like those assault weapons right on the street. That leaves those ghost guns in the street, which are flooding our streets right now, putting our cops at risk and our community at risk.
So next year, would you propose a bill to get rid of those AR-15s that were grandfathered under the Sandy Hook rule?
I think so, yes.
How would you go about removing them, the ones that are currently grandfathered and legal?
Start by making them illegal. I think that would be a big difference. I think that's what you start with.
Until Rob Hodeland talked about being profiled by police, and he followed that out here, I haven't heard any real pushback, either from you or other Democrats, about what that police accountability law was really about 2 years ago. The debate has been almost exclusively on use of force, qualified immunity, and warrantless searches.
I tried to explain that it's about rebuilding and building trust between police and the community. Just like I think the body cams was about that as well. I think having Judge Devlin there, being able to opine after Alex shot the murderer in Bristol was very helpful. He did the right things, what Devlin said. Getting that video out immediately, that's all part of the police accountability bill, Paz. It helps build confidence that our police are doing the right thing.
Did it go too far in the sense, though, that it has created a perception that police are in jeopardy as far as personal liability, which lawyers say is incorrect, but that is certainly a very real perception. Was that worth?
I think perception is the exact thing. How many cases have been brought? We've been doing this for a year and a half. 0 is the answer to that. It's such an incredibly high bar.
Was it a mistake to include that, given how the debate has kind of turned on that one?
Well, they're certainly grandstanding, politicizing it, and I don't want to do anything that demoralizes police. So if that's part of your answer, yes.
Hodeland said he would revise it. Would you be open to that?
Look, I think if the cops come in, if others come in, they got some suggestions, let's take a look at it through the legislative process. But overall, I think for that 0.001% of folks who commit a high crime, I think they should be held accountable.
We asked Bob about your comment regarding grandstanding on the Bristol issue, and he kind of took issue with it and says that you don't care about police officers and that you should do more to protect them. I guess by signing that legislation, what do you say to that?
I just think that's a horrible accusation. I don't care about those cops that are killed. That's shocking. I was there at Rentschler Field. I was there with the tears going by. I was there with 15,000 men and women in blue. I know exactly what that means. I just think you can't make those accusations. It's false and unfair and wrong.
And what do you make of the ad that he's been running of the wife of that police officer who blames you for what happened to her husband?
What, the bipartisan juvenile crime bill, the police accountability bill is somehow responsible for that idiot who drove into her husband? I mean, it's just, It's a cheap insinuation.
Governor, can you talk a little bit more about nursing home residents coming out of hospitals? There was, as I recall, a period when there was a scramble to find beds for them, and some were put back in the nursing homes.
No, we found empty nursing homes. We repurposed them immediately. We did not do what Cuomo did. We made sure folks went to a segregated facility where they were not intermingling with the other patients. Then we found there were some separate wings in some of the existing nursing homes, and we put some of the patients there. We had to get those COVID patients out of the hospital so we could provide capacity for other people who were infected.
When they were in separate wings, were they being served by the same staff, and was there intermingling?
I'm not an expert on that. I know they're in separate wings, and I think everything was treated very separate. That was the purpose.
Governor, we couldn't really hear what you were answering, and I'm not sure if this is the question he asked, but Bob Stefanowski came out here and said that he caught you in a lie about those nursing homes. Did you feel like
He was just asking that question as well. No, he's absolutely wrong on that. We found empty nursing homes, repurposed them, and got everybody out of the hospital that was infected, so they didn't have to go back into a nursing home and intermingle with other patients. They went into a separate nursing home, or at least a separate wing in an existing nursing home. His accusation is absolutely false.
What do you make of Rob Hodeling's point that neither your plan nor Stefanowski's plan is really addressing the issue of affordability in housing in Connecticut?
You want to address affordability. We desperately need more housing. We've had more housing starts in the last year than, in decades. That makes a difference. We started, thousands of new affordable housing units, the biggest increase you can. And you know what? We still have some catching up to do there. And you don't want to know why 830G didn't work that well before? Because not that many people wanted to move to Connecticut. Now they want to move to Connecticut. So we got to make sure that we do this, emphasizing local control.
Well, help John write his lead. What it is that you would do to change 830G? Because I couldn't write that lead right now.
Well, I think we've talked about this before. I mean, we put in place, we told towns, we want you to take the lead. Show us how you will provide more housing in your downtown areas. We want this to be under your local control.
Okay, but that's to put a plan forward. Would that be enough to put them in the category of the folks who get the delay or the
moratorium?
What thank you.
I think it should.
Okay.
I think it makes very good sense. Come forward with a good faith plan on how you're going to do this. I love local control. 830G is for those very few people that refuse to come forward with a plan.
You're running on the projected $640 million in tax relief that is provided in the current budget. A lot of that is temporary. Mr. Stefanowski has a detailed plan about what he would do. We've heard from Mr. Holding. Do you think it's a fair criticism that you have yet to tell voters what you would do in terms of tax relief in the upcoming biennial budget cycle?
Well, first of all, we have the biggest middle class tax cut. I know people are hurting with inflation. That's why we had a child tax rebate, so it helps people in August. I didn't have to wait a full year. That's why you have an earned income tax credit, something I very much would like to continue going forward, so working families keep more of what they earn. That's why we eliminated the income tax for people with fixed, pensions and 401ks, so seniors are more likely to be able to stay. Those are the things we did to make sure that we keep faith with people who are getting squeezed by inflation.
But you haven't told people what you plan to do going forward. This is what you passed. This is what you have provided. Some of it is expiring, the child tax rebate, right?
If I had my priorities, I'd like to keep some of the gas tax cut going forward. I like the earned income tax credit because people earn more of what they do. I very much want to continue to build on and expand daycare. That gives kids the very best head start in life, and it also allows mom and dad to get back to work. Those are some of my real priorities.
Speaker Ritter.
One more question.
Speaker Ritter has
Thank you.
Speaker Ritter has talked about a special session after the election, but before the January regular one, to extend the gas tax holiday. Did you just indicate now you would support that, or are you talking about something else?
Well, support a special session. Let me talk to Matt about that. I think it makes very good sense. Support extending the holiday. To the degree to which we can afford it, I think the answer is yes.
So what would be the metric that you want to see to say, yes, we'll continue
Let's say we got $350 million in reserves. Let's say the gas tax holiday, just 25 cents, is costing us about, what is it, $1 million a day? So it's a fair amount of money over a period of 6 months. We can drain down those transportation reserves. Bob's plan would drain them down within weeks. Thanks, everybody.
Why'd you pick